I'd like to talk about my development fears, and I've talked a bit about this, but we're at a stage in development where it's tough to know whether things will work out. And what I mean is that because we're creating a game that's so dependent on atmosphere and atmosphere is really the combination of art and animation and sound and music. And so if we don't have all those elements, it's tough to say we've created something that is really scary, something with, the thick atmosphere that I think Neverending Nightmares had. And we definitely want to create that dark and fearful sort of place. So it's sort of tough to have a lot of confidence that things will pan out, and that's really scary because sort of we bet the company on every project, and I'd love to get in a position where we don't have to bet the company on every project. That would be a lot easier. A lot less worrisome. But I think it's the challenges we face right now as an indie developer, and so it's scary to think that maybe the game won't turn out, or maybe there's something unfixable or some inherent flaw in the direction we're taking this game. And to some extent, I'd almost like to work on a sequel. Maybe not creatively, but a sequel to a successful project. And certainly there's challenges, with audience expectations. But to some extent, you've figured out what you're doing, and you're iterating on that, improving the things that maybe needed improvement. But you're not reinventing the wheel, and I wouldn't say we're completely reinventing the wheel for the game we're working on now, but it's a spiritual successor, sort of. But there's been a number of core assumptions that we're changing, which can always be scary. So it's tough for me right now. And also, we're not saying much about the game, so I don't get any of that wonderful backer validation, which has been very helpful for me. Certainly I haven't talked about it lately, but I do have OCD and depression. Those are medical conditions that I will struggle with for the rest of my life, and it makes a lot of things more challenging, and it is challenging for me to have confidence in myself, and it's weird though, because sometimes I feel very confident, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be awesome, but then like 2 weeks ago I was feeling really good, and then we started putting together stuff for the trailer, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this trailer, and it's weird because I was looking at like Neverending Nightmares, more the teaser, because right now we don't have enough content to make like an amazing trailer, so we're just making a teaser. We're trying to establish the mood and some basic elements of the story and the setting in an effective way that grabs people's interest. And so I'm like, oh, this is interesting, as the one for Neverending Nightmares, because at least for me, I compare everything to Neverending Nightmares because we did okay, right? Like we created a game people liked. We had a Kickstarter that was successful. It wasn't the game. We're not all millionaires. We don't have enough to fund our next project, but we at least have enough to get us a good bit of the way, and probably more of the way than Neverending Nightmares, because certainly a lot of people think, your Kickstarter, we had like 107K or something, and then we also had 99K from Ouya, and like, oh my gosh, it's so much money. But as I've talked about in another developer diary, if you say 10K a man month, which our costs are significantly lower than 10K a man month, but let's just for fun say 10K a man month, because it's a nice round number, right? Then 200K is essentially 20 man months. With a team of 4. That gets you 5 months. Obviously we spent more than 5 months. We got more than 5 months of development from that funding and whatnot. But I'm just saying, like, it's expensive. It's more expensive to develop a game than people think, because we, besides paying additional contractors, who work part-time, musician, sound designer, and then a part-time artist. We also have to pay for packs and like the amazing trailer we had for Neverending Nightmares, like for launch, was created by Kurt Gardner, who's like the indie trailer wizard and like super awesome. But that cost us a significant amount of money. Obviously totally worth it. I don't doubt that it was worth it. It's just that's more things than just the actual cost of paying our employees and I think Kurt was super nice and gave us some advice on our trailer for Neverending Nightmares. But this trailer, we've been kind of rushed, so haven't gotten any approval or suggestions from him. Although we've tried to. At least in my mind, I sort of look at it similarly, a similar approach to Neverending Nightmares teaser, since that worked really well. Just sort of the slow introduction and then sort of ramp it up, just like and I think this is Kurt Gardner blogs, and I think he said, think of it as a mini movie, as a story that you're telling with a trailer, and then try and cut it like that, so we have just this sort of excitement ramp up, and so in that sense, it's very similar to the Neverending Nightmares trailer. But we're working with Eduardo on the sound design for that, and so it's definitely scary without the sound design, which I think lends so much to creating the atmosphere and the horror. So it's been a nerve-wracking time, but I'm hopeful. We did this again previously, Neverending Nightmares, and Neverending Nightmares was our first horror game. And so I think we learned a lot, and I hope that, I think that we're even better equipped to make a scarier and more interesting horror game, and it's just that, when you live with obsessive compulsive disorder, there's always that sort of twinge, the doubt in the back of your mind, and it can be very powerful, and so, this probably is something, if you watch a lot of these developer blogs, where, I'll say something, good about Neverending Nightmares, or say something, like, oh, I think we did this really well, and then I'll qualify it and say, like, oh, well, but there are other aspects, or, it's difficult for me to just see good or just present good, because, I always have this track in the back of my mind, saying, oh yeah, you messed up here, and so it's difficult, and it's really challenging, especially at this point in the project, and hopefully when we get more things out there, we'll have a warm reception, and I'll be able to derive some confidence from that. I guess it's not really self-confidence. It's coming from extra people or other people, but at least that's a good thing. Any sort of confidence, I'll take what I can get. But I mean, you know, and again, maybe this is just, you know, that little track in the back of my mind. Qualifying. Why do I keep saying that? Yeah. But basically, you know, it may not be a success. You know, we may, all the backers may say, hey, this is dumb, you know, we love Neverending Nightmares, and, but this, you know, you've gone too far, or whatever, I don't know. So, I mean, it's tough, but, you know, I try to stay positive, I try to work through the anxiety, and I try to work through the fears, and I do try to channel the fears into my work, and so, I mean, while this game isn't directly about OCD or anything, I feel like, you know, that's a part of who I am, and it shows through in the work that I make, and I do try to make a very personal, sorry about the garbage truck there, but I try to make a very personal game, you know, something that I can connect with people through, and I think that's important, and one of the best aspects of Neverending Nightmares. So thanks for watching.